Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that you didn't notice when they started rewriting your reality? Liars rarely announce themselves. They don't need to shout or deceive outright. Sometimes, they simply ask a question, soft, harmless, and suddenly, you're defending your honesty instead of questioning theirs. That's the quiet power of manipulation. It doesn't always come wrapped in anger or deceit. It comes wrapped in warmth, familiarity, and words that sound like love. A liar's greatest trick isn't the lie itself. It's the question that makes you doubt your own truth. And when that doubt grows, your peace begins to belong to someone else. If you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller, guilty, or confused, this story is for you. Because today, we're going to explore 5 questions manipulative people use to control your emotions and how Stoic wisdom can turn those traps into strength. By the end, you won't just recognize manipulation. You'll know how to stand in front of it with calm, clarity, and quiet confidence. It all begins with the simplest question, one that sounds loving, but slowly turns your trust into a leash. Don't you trust me? It sounds innocent, even tender, but sometimes that's exactly how control begins. Because this question isn't really about trust, it's about control. The moment you try to answer it, you're no longer defending the truth, you're defending your loyalty. You've stepped into their world, where doubt becomes betrayal and silence becomes guilt. That's how emotional manipulation begins, not with shouting, not even with lies, but with a question that turns love into obligation. Think about the last time someone said this to you. Maybe it was a partner, a friend, or even your boss, smiling, speaking gently but with a weight behind every word. Inside, you probably felt that quiet tension. If I question them, I'll hurt them. But if I stay silent, I'll hurt myself. That's not trust. That's emotional blackmail disguised as care. This tactic works because it targets something good in you, your desire to be kind, loyal, dependable. Manipulators know that good people fear disappointing others more than they fear being deceived. They use your empathy as a leash. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." Notice what he didn't say. He never said, "If they'll be upset, stay quiet." Stoicism reminds us, you owe others honesty, not blind faith. Real trust isn't about pleasing someone. It's built on clarity, truth, and mutual respect. Sometimes clarity sounds like, "I trust you, but I also trust myself." The mistake many people make is trying to prove their loyalty over explaining, apologizing for feeling unsure. When you do that, you're not communicating, you're performing for approval. You don't need to explain integrity to someone who values it. You only need to protect it from those who don't. But guilt isn't the only tool manipulators use. When trust no longer silences you, they reach for something deeper, your sensitivity. Why are you so sensitive? Few sentences cut this deep, because they don't just question what you felt, they question your right to feel it. When guilt fails, manipulators shift tactics. They go after your emotions, your empathy, your awareness, and make you doubt them. You tell a friend, their joke hurt you. They laugh and say, "Come on, don't be so dramatic." Suddenly, you're the problem. Not their words, not their behavior, you. That's how gaslighting works. It flips empathy into embarrassment. It makes you apologize for having a heart. We live in a world that often mistakes numbness for strength. Don't take things personally. Just toughen up. But true strength isn't the absence of feeling. It's the ability to understand and master it. When someone calls you too sensitive, what they're really saying is, Your awareness makes me uncomfortable. The Stoics never told us to suppress emotion. They taught us to understand it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you are offended at another's fault, turn to yourself and examine your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." The Stoic way isn't numbness, it's awareness with discipline. To feel deeply and still choose wisdom, that's real power. The mistake most people make is trying to prove they're not too sensitive. They downplay their pain, laugh it off, pretend it doesn't matter. But suppression isn't strength, it's self-abandonment. The more you silence your truth to keep peace, the louder your inner conflict grows. Sensitivity isn't fragility. It's perception, the ability to notice what others ignore. You are not too much. They are simply too little for what you carry. And when sensitivity no longer works against you, manipulators move to their next weapon. This time, it sounds caring, but beneath the kindness lies something even darker: control, disguised as love. Sometimes, manipulation doesn't sound cruel at all. Sometimes, it sounds caring. I'm only doing this because I care. It's the softest knife a person can use, the kind that doesn't cut the skin, but quietly drains the spirit. At first, those words feel comforting. They sound like love, like safety. But love that demands your submission isn't care. It's control wrapped in tenderness. When someone says they're doing this for your own good, it's easy to believe them. We all want to be cared for. We all want to feel seen. But genuine care sets you free. It gives you room to breathe, to choose, to grow. False care holds you tighter until you forget where you end and they begin. Imagine a friend who constantly criticizes your choices, your job, your clothes, even the people you spend time with. When you tell them it hurts, they sigh and say, "I'm only saying this because I care about you." But what they really mean is, "I need you to be who I want you to be." That's not love. That's fear, disguised as protection. The Stoics taught that love should never imprison you. Epictetus wrote, "When you desire something not in your control, you become its slave." Conditional care is just that slavery of the heart. The moment someone ties their affection to your compliance, they stop loving you and start managing you. The lesson is simple. Care that limits you isn't care at all. You can love people deeply without surrendering your freedom. You can listen to advice without absorbing guilt. When someone says, "I'm only doing this because I care," pause and ask yourself, does this care make me smaller or stronger? But what happens when control disguised as love stops working? When you no longer respond to guilt or false concern, the manipulator doesn't give up. They move to their next weapon, one that's more subtle, more psychological. They make you question reality itself. Are you sure that's what happened? It sounds innocent, even rational, but that question can fracture your confidence in a single moment. This is gaslighting, the art of rewriting memory until you start doubting your own eyes. They don't have to scream or deny. They just plant seeds of doubt. You're overreacting. You must have misunderstood. I don't remember it that way. And before you know it, you're defending your sanity instead of your truth. You replay the moment in your head again and again, trying to figure out if you imagined it. The cruel genius of gaslighting is that it replaces your reality with theirs, one gentle suggestion at a time. And the more you argue, the deeper you sink. You start explaining, justifying, apologizing. You begin to think maybe you are too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But you're not. You're just caught in someone else's story. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong, I will gladly change, for it is the truth I seek." Notice the difference: proof, not persuasion. A Stoic doesn't abandon truth just because someone questions it. They stay grounded in reason, not emotion. When a manipulator says, "Are you sure that's what happened?" the Stoic answer is calm and clear. "Yes, I was there. I remember." And that's enough. The small truth is this: clarity doesn't need to be loud. You don't have to convince anyone of your experience. You just have to know it for yourself. Because once they can't distort your memory, they'll try something else. Something that hits where your pride and peace meet. Why do you always make things so complicated? When nothing else works, the manipulator reframes your clarity as confusion. They make your effort to understand sound like an obstacle. Suddenly, your honesty becomes drama, your thoughtfulness becomes overthinking, and your boundaries become too much. You say, "I just want to talk about what happened." They reply, "You're overanalyzing." You say, "I just want to understand why." They sigh, "You always complicate everything." And once again, you're on the defensive, not about what happened, but about how you feel. That's the quiet brilliance of deflection. It's not about truth anymore, it's about exhaustion. They want to tire your heart until you stop seeking answers. Stoicism offers the antidote: stillness. The Stoic doesn't rush to defend or justify. They observe, they breathe. They recognize that not every argument deserves an audience. Simplicity, in the Stoic sense, doesn't mean silence. It means clarity without chaos. It means saying what needs to be said, then letting go of what's beyond your control. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." You don't need to raise your voice to be understood. You only need to remain steady in what you know. True calm isn't passive, it's strength disguised as peace. So when someone tells you, "You're making things complicated," smile gently. Know that what they call complicated is simply your refusal to be confused. Your clarity threatens their comfort, but your peace does not belong to them. It never did. And when that peace finally settles inside you, when you no longer chase approval, explanation, or control, that's when you discover the quiet power of being untouchable. There comes a moment when everything grows quiet. After the guilt, the arguments, the replaying in your head, silence arrives. Not the silence of surrender, but the silence of waking up. That is the place where real strength begins. The Stoics called it stillness, an inner space that cannot be reached by other people's chaos. That stillness is your shield. True protection isn't built by fighting louder. It's built by choosing where to place your energy. You stop trying to control others and start mastering your response. You learn that peace is not something you find by fixing the world. It's something you build from within, one choice at a time. The first step is simple and immediate. Pause before you react. Manipulators count on speed, the quick retort, the defensive explanation, the frantic proof. When you pause, you interrupt their script. Take a breath. Create a beat of silence. In that space, you see more clearly and decide what truly matters. For example, when a colleague snaps at you in a meeting, instead of answering instantly, you breathe, collect your words, and respond calmly. That pause protects your dignity and changes the shape of the conversation. The second step is to separate who you are from what you feel. Feeling anger or hurt doesn't make you an angry or broken person. The Stoics never advised emotional blindness. They taught emotional discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "They do wrong, yet I remain myself." You can acknowledge pain without letting it rewrite your identity. That distance lets compassion and clarity replace reactivity. The third step is to know what is yours to control. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us and some are not." You cannot control others' words, actions, or interpretations. You can control how long you let them live in your mind. Decide what meanings you assign to events. Let go of what you cannot steer, and guard the inner ground you can steward. When you stop investing power in what you can't change, peace naturally returns. That is how you become untouchable, not by closing your heart, but by steadying it. Not by building walls, but by growing roots. You become the quiet center in a noisy world. People may push, provoke, or misread you, but their chaos no longer displaces your calm. When that calm settles, your life shifts. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop measuring value by other people's approval. Real freedom doesn't wear the shape of victory. It looks like stillness. It looks like the ability to walk away, not because you gave up, but because you know your peace needs no explanation. Maybe someone once twisted your words or used your kindness as leverage. Maybe you spent too long arguing to be seen. But peace was never theirs to grant. It has been inside you, waiting for the day you chose it. If this landed with you, share this with someone who needs a reminder that calm is possible. Tell me in the comments, what does inner peace mean to you right now? If you want more practical stories and Stoic tools for staying steady in a chaotic world, subscribe and keep walking this path. The calmer you become, the less others can control, and the freer you finally are.